The East German Stasi police, a system really comes out of the Soviet Union Cheka police. Again, the same idea. How does a totalitarian government control things on the street? Well, you have this cooperation between citizen spies, citizen snitches, who are often motivated by a little bit of money, or maybe they're given a break on a criminal charge that the police have against them. In other words, you cooperate with us, we'll cooperate with you. And so you get a whole network, incredibly organized, vertically integrated network in which many citizens, often ex-military, often ex-police, often military, often police, often civilians, often bottom feeders. These would be what we call the perpetrators, who actually are carrying out the gang stalking operations against the TIs, who are the targeted individuals. And normally this involves at first a few years of surveillance, so that the targeted individual or the TI doesn't even know that they're being targeted. But they are getting, the perpetrators, the hierarchy there is getting a psychological profile on the individual so that they can figure out how best to push their buttons, harass them, get them to get pushed over the edge so they will act out. For instance, if they were to commit a crime against, one of their gang stalkers, or commit suicide. There's a lot of material on this on the web. I would tell your readers, a lot of people are speaking out about this. So there's a lot of targeted individuals who have access to the same technology that you and I do, who are putting their stories on the internet.
Alleged Burke Street killer Dimitrios Jimmy Gargasoulas has told a court the Illuminati were to blame for the fatal attack, claimed he was privy to the secrets of the Freemasons, and insisted that the government was controlling his life. Mr. Gargasoulas, who allegedly killed 6 people, including 2 children, on the 20th of January, 2017 by driving a car at pedestrians. He interrupted his lawyer's discussion about future court hearings, saying, "Your Honor, I was under extreme stress which caused me to have a mental breakdown." In a short stream of consciousness, Mr. Gargasoulas also said he held the key to Freemasons' treasure and declared, "It's not fair that my life is being controlled by the government. We must refer back to God's royal laws to prevent lies, corruption and death," he continued. "I'm very sad for everything that's happened, but it's due to the Illuminati," he said before the video link was cut off. Mr. Gargasoulas is charged with 6 counts of murder, 28 counts of attempted murder and conduct endangering life. The attack's victims included a 3-month-old baby boy and a 10-year-old girl. It is the second time Mr. Gargasoulas has appeared in court since the alleged attack.
About what happened on Burke Street?
No.
The 26-year-old faced court charged over an assault and property damage from December last year. He'll return to court for those charges later this month. As he left, he refused to comment on his brother.
Have you spoken to your brother?
About what happened on Burke Street?
And the most dramatic intercept of all, of course, is the staged accident, where these can be quite dangerous in cars, for instance, and only assigned to senior agents. I've had one of these, by the way. And this is normally reserved for targets that have committed the ultimate sin of
perhaps spreading information that exposes the criminality of the Secret Services, like I do with my 911nwo.com website. So a couple of years ago, I had a near accident. A guy in Yosemite Park. We're flowing along on the traffic on through Yosemite Park, through Tuolumne Meadows, and all of a sudden, this guy in a blue Jeep Cherokee stops dead in the middle of the road. We're going 60 miles an hour or whatever. I've got my camper. I couldn't stop, So I had to go into the left-bound lane. This kind of thing. You can't prove it; it's deniable. But on the other hand, with this kind of equipment, they could easily set that up. I think it was a setup, but this is one kind of an intercept: is the staged accident. Physical sabotage of the TI's home and belongings can be done. Often very small acts of physical sabotage. They'll break into your house and move a book here, or turn it around, or pick this up and remove it, or steal it, or all of this, of course, kind of a war, psychological warfare against the target, who now realizes that his home's been broken into. They can, they'll sometimes just enter your home, change the radio settings in your car, scratch the paint on your vehicle, sabotage your tires, silly things, But again, they mount up, and a little bit like gaslighting in the movie Gaslight with Ingrid Bergman back in the 40s or 50s. Move the furniture, carpets around, just to show the target that someone broke in. They'll steal low-value items. Maybe important papers, maybe photographs that are very valuable to the target, set clocks at the wrong time. It's just harassment. So again, this is all in the manual. Sabotaging the target's reputation, we talked about that. Under Mark Rich's book, they actually have a title for this. It's called 2R, Receive and Repeat These Rumors. All of these positions can be taken by military people or community people, or in civil military operations, which is a big part of fourth-generation warfare, as we talked about earlier. You have the blend of the community and the military operating together, which is what this is. The supervisors, co-workers, family, friends, landlord, neighbors are all going to be approached by these CBAs, and they're going to spread these lies, these rumors, to defame the target and isolate them. Again, very, very sophisticated operation here. They talk in the manual about headquarters staff that has developed techniques, psychological techniques, and comes up with these scripts, these psyacs or psychological attacks, and bribing the neighborhood people with incentives. There's a couple guys that I always kept seeing, neither one rich, driving around in brand new Harley Davidsons. One of them had 3 brand new Harley Davidsons. And of course I have to just wonder, where'd they get those? These incentives can be pretty big, or they can be very little. A new house. So again, there's a lot of money in this operation, behind this operation.
Doc, I'm used to being below the breadline. I've never had anything in my life, and there's nothing they could offer me to be a part of one of these teams. There seriously isn't. I assure anyone out there, I have no price at all that could get me to be a part of this. I couldn't physically bring myself to be a part of doing this to anyone else, Doc. I can't speak for everyone out there, but honestly, there's not enough money in the world that could pay me off to get me into this.
Well, that's kind of the dividing line, isn't it, Kev? I mean, there are people like you, and then there are people like that sign on to these projects. And I take a very simplistic worldview. I'm not the judge, God is, but some people are going to heaven and some people are going to hell. And I think this could be the dividing line right there. You wouldn't even think about doing that, and yet other people who would maybe consider themselves to be good people and nice people, they're gonna a surprising number of people, they join in on this, and it's very, very disappointing, very saddening to me that so many people will join in something as evil as this, as you say. They talk about trade-related punishment here, getting the auto mechanics and in my case the RV places to sabotage your vehicle or overcharge you or create a problem where there was no problem, things like that. I've noticed a few instances. The thing is what's really great to me about finding a document like this is I can just go down the checklist and say, oh yeah, that's happened. Oh yeah, that happened. And there it is. I mean, this is a standard operating procedure for this kind of operation. So many targets are going to experience these kinds of harassment and punishment, damage. And once they can understand the system behind it, then they can get smart and, bring cameras with them, document things, maybe start putting faces and positions together, realizing who's doing what. And I think maybe if enough TIs start doing this, in other words, start reclaiming their sovereignty and saying, okay, people are committing crimes against me every day, I'm going to document this and try to catch them, we might be able to make some inroads against this system.
People are killed in this program, bottom line.
Right.
And once you are in the program, apparently wherever you go, if you go, from where I live in Colorado to Pennsylvania, your protocol follows you, and the gang stalking will continue there with the hierarchical structure that is developed there. If you go to Portugal, same thing. The United States government has spent upwards of $1 trillion on these kinds of programs, including Department of Homeland Security, and coordinating the CIA, FBI, local police since 9/11, upwards of $1 trillion to beef up this super Gestapo Stasi police state that we live in. Now, most Americans are so propagandized that, you know, perhaps they're not a threat, you know. But the genius, the diabolical genius behind this program is that the people who become perpetrators are also controlled.
Sure.
So they control not only the perpetrators, but through the perpetrators, they control and try to destroy the lives of the targeted individuals. And this can go on for years.
Protocol 16 covers brainwashing the masses as well, rendering the universities little more than Judaic Masonic institutions of propaganda and mind control. Purpose of subverting education is to turn the goyim, the non-Jews, into unthinking robots. Once corrupted, they'll be easily deceived, manipulated, and recruited for every wicked cause, and always under the pretense of some good. Protocol 17 has to do with the New World Religion and installing the King of the Jews to become the real Pope of the universe. This would be what the Christians call the Antichrist. And Protocol 18, especially germane, deals with precipitating internal disorders, in other words, terrorist events, and then acting swiftly to execute mass arrests of the more dangerous opponents of the Zionist master plan. This is precisely what's behind the policy since the Clinton administration, and increasingly so during the Bush and Obama administrations, to associate Christians, pro-lifers, constitutionalists, Ron Paul conservatives, homeschoolers, Second Amendment advocates, 9/11 truthers, Holocaust revisionists, critics of Israel, and those who oppose the Jewish Federal Reserve and all of the needless wars we fight for Israel, put them on those terrorist lists. All these sincere patriots and Christians are singled out by the government in the hands of the Zionist elders as potential homegrown terrorists. So the reason I'm choosing this word protocols is I think that's a word in which we can use and get the big picture. This protocols of the learned elders of Zion does seem to be the game plan and the strategy by which the world is now being destroyed. Western civilization is now being, we're seeing creative destruction. That's a term that we hear all the time from these neocons. And then of course this international police state. So I think that these are related. That's my opinion. I'm sure others will want to differ with that, but I did get the idea out there, Kev, if you'd like to respond to that.
No, I think the reason I'm so happy with the fact you're calling it the protocols of gang stalking is because when you look at that protocols of Zion, and if you have looked at that document at all, we're living in it right now. What they're using is another it's the macro, and then we've got the micro of the protocols of the gang stalking to bring it about. It's absolutely perfect. And when you're rhyming off some of the categories of people there, I mean, every single person listening to this show, I said it last week, we are all in the #1 target audience. And that's why it's so important that people really do research this kind of material, Doc.
Yes, and we have to help each other. We have to come to each other's aid. In other words, not be afraid to step up and help each other. Because if we don't, we're going to be taken down one by one. And of course, the strategy of all this is to isolate these individuals, deprive them of all of their support systems, and it says this in the military documents, deprive them of their job and their home and their family and their friends, and get them out on the street where they can really work on you and destroy you. And this is war, and this of course these are military plans to destroy individuals, break their will, to change their behavior modification. But it's all based on the infliction of pain. And so it's basic stimulus response from a psychological point of view. We're just going to keep pouring on the pain until you die. And what they want you to do is commit suicide or commit a crime of passion, like kill somebody. And then they can, of course, lock you up or throw you in a mental institution and throw away the key.